On today's Community Wednesday, let's break down the Bruen MK9. The Bruen was one of the most popular weapons when it first came out. It was kinda broken. It had great TTKs, and it had great recoil. But the best part about it was that even though it was an LMG, it had access to a quick reloading 60 round mag. But shortly after, they nerfed the 60 round mag to have way more recoil. And while it was still a good weapon, people didn't really want to use it without the 60 round mag. But after so many other weapons' recoil have been nerfed, is it really that bad now? Let's find out, but first let's take a look at its parts. In this build, we're using the monolithic suppressor, XRK Summit 26.8 inch barrel, tac laser, VLK 3.0 times sight if you're on PC, and any holographic sight if you're on console, and 60 round mags. So let's take a look at the stats, starting with mobility. It has a pretty slow ADS time of 420 milliseconds. And it has a reload and reload at time of 3.57 seconds from empty and 2.35 if you leave one bullet in the mag. And with a mag cap of 60, that's pretty great. But definitely try as hard as you can to not completely empty the magazine. Its movement and sprint speeds are pretty good for an LMG. And its ADS strafe speed isn't that bad at 1.55 meters per second either. Its sprint out and tac sprint out times are 320 and 460 milliseconds, so don't try with this. Its aiming stability is 2T, making it suitable for longer range engagements, and its bullet velocity is 1000 meters per second, which isn't the greatest, but again is suitable for longer range engagements. And lastly, its rate of fire is 12.5 rounds per second or 750 rounds per minute, so it gets a mobility score of 34. Its recoil is a bit weird. It goes up, to the left, and then diagonally, and it does have a lot of jumping in between. It's not the most stable pattern. This weapon could definitely benefit from the Commando foregrip, but as you saw, the ADS time is just way too long already. Regardless, you should be able to use this up to 100 meters, or 115 if you don't mind missing the first few shots. So it gets a recoil score of 40. For its damage, it has a drop off at 36 meters. In the first damage range, it's going to be getting an average TTK, which is pretty great. And in the second damage range, it's going to be getting an above average TTK. So no matter where you're using this weapon, it's going to be performing quite nicely. So it gets a damage score of 70. And when we add up all the categories, it gets a final score of 144. As many of you know, this is quite a high score, and we haven't seen one like this in a long time. But we do gotta remember, its ADS time and recoil will be keeping this weapon in check. The further you are from your target, the harder it's gonna be to hit them. And it's gonna cost you a lot of ammo if you really wanna get that down. Its mobility isn't the greatest either, but the one thing that sets this weapon apart is that it's going to be getting a really good TTK no matter where you're using it. Of course, you'll still want to pair it with a good pistol or an SMG, but anywhere else, you're going to be fine. And a weapon like this is extremely suited for maps like Rebirth, because in places like that, even if you are playing for the longer ranges, you're not going to be fighting over 100 meters. Weapons like the MG82 are going to be getting a much better TTK, and will also get better recoil. But those weapons are going to have way worse mobility, and more importantly, a way longer reload time. So with the Bruen, you can actually be kind of aggressive, and you'll be fine. You'll never be stuck in a reload animation, and you'll always be ready for that next down. So if you want to play an off-meta weapon, I highly suggest you try out the Bruen. It won't have the longest ranges, but it'll perform nicely everywhere else. So that was the Bruen. Have you used it recently? And if so, what'd you think about it? And if there's any weapon, build, or part of the game you want me to break down, let me know and you may see it on the next Community Wednesday. Thanks for watching.